All right, we're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Ric Bucher. But Acho, is the Nets loss to the Cavs something or nada?
It's absolutely something. And the reason it's something is it's confirming all the doubts and the questions that we already had. True. See, Sel, what did we say about these Nets? What were our worries? What were our concerns?
What did you say?
We thought that, wait a second, will they really mesh? Like, who's going to take the shots? Where are Kyrie's shots going to come from? All of a sudden, Kyrie, 28 shots. KD, 25. James Harden, 14. This the same James Harden in his first 2 starts in the debut with the new team. 5th all-time in NBA history with most points in your first 2 starts with a new team. That same James Harden took half as many shots as Kyrie. Okay, what else were we concerned about? We were concerned about the Nets' inability to play defense. And the Cavs, which have the worst offense in the league, scored the most points in the league. So the 2 things that we were primarily concerned about with this Nets team were confirmed for us on day 1. Had the Nets lost in a slugfest, 83-67, just an ugly game, I would have tossed that out the window. I would have been like, Marcellus is nothing. I ain't reading into that. Had the Nets lost, 99-101, a buzzer beater last second by Sexton, nothing. It happens. Not a big deal. But the Nets lost in the exact manner that we predicted they might struggle with because of this combination. Now, I'm not going to act like the sky is falling. You lost a regular season game in January. But what are the indications of what that loss means long term? That's why I think it's something.
Oh, you know me. I don't think anything of this. This is nothing. How about negative nothing? Is that a thing? Less than nothing. I mean, what the hell are we doing right here, guys? One, if you watched the game yesterday, like we all didn't, it was a slugfest. No, watching the game, it was a slugfest. Brooklyn comes out in the first quarter up double digits. Like, all of a sudden, they took the foot off the gas. Like, these dudes is crumbs. Even though Cleveland is not crumbs necessarily, and I'll get into that. So, is this a slugfest? Acho, I love you, big dog. At the end of regular time, we're tied. At the end of the first overtime, guess what? We're tied again. And then finally, I'm tired, boss. and Sexton went off and obviously goes 4 for 4 in the second overtime, and they win that game. I think what happens in this situation is everyone, like Acho was doing, is doing the confirmation bias, because there's only 2 sides you can look at this as. The side I'm on, which is like, they have so much firepower that there's no way that this can go wrong, or the side that Acho's on, which is basically, how's this going to work out? Because you already see who gets the shots, who's deferring, et cetera, et cetera. But let me remind you guys, one, their opponent last night, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're a 500 bunch. They're scrappy. They're not losers. They're a 500 team that has also beat the best team in the NBA this year by record, the Philadelphia 76ers, by 24 points in regular time. Whoa, you didn't see that one coming. So, one, why are y'all so upset at the Cleveland Cavaliers doing what they do, which is beat up the big dogs in their conference right now? But 2, didn't I witness last year the champion Los Angeles Lakers in their first outing together lose to my Clippers? Yes. And how did that turn out? Obviously, well, because they became champions. So for me, this is nothing by just perspective, by the near history of the Los Angeles Lakers turning around from day one, and by the fact that they didn't lose to some bums. They lost to some dudes that smoked the best team by record.
It is something, because the last time I checked, this is not Seinfeld. We only talk about things that are something. We don't talk about nothing. And the optics in and of themselves are bad, because it's not that they lost. It's that they lost after James Harden and Kevin Durant found a way to beat the Milwaukee Bucks and the reigning MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then turn around, add Kyrie Irving to the equation, and lose to, as Acho said, the worst offensive team in the league. And the 22nd best team shooting the 3 went 20 for 40. It's also the fact that so many other things went right. The big 3 actually played well together. They shared the ball, 30 assists. They got the supporting cast involved. they won the rebounding battle. And I know, Marcellus, that you've said before, defense doesn't matter to you. The problem is it does not appear to matter to James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant either, because ultimately that's what cost them this game. And that's what we said was going to be a potential problem, that no matter how good they were offensively, that their defense wasn't going to be good enough to compensate.
Yeah, Slick, man. You went everywhere right there, and Slick, everywhere you went was right. It's something because Colin Sexton went out there and cooked on everybody, Sal.
Everybody.
On Kyrie, he went 6 for 10.
All y'all.
On James Harden, he went 4 for 4. On KD, he went 2 for 3. Kyrie, I don't care how many buckets you get. If the dude you guarding gets more buckets than you still fighting a losing battle. Harden, I don't care how many buckets you get. If the dude you guarding gets more buckets than you. But I actually watched that game last night because I was really intentional on what's up with these Nets. I can't come up here and talk about it if I don't watch.
Yeah.
Slick and Sell, this is when I was like, there might be a problem. Let's go back to the last 2 possessions of regulation. The second to last offensive possession for the Nets of regulation, I don't know if y'all recall, James Harden didn't pass the ball. Straight ISO ball, James Harden shot. Last possession of regulation, I don't know if y'all recall, Kyrie didn't pass the ball. He gets the ball, 5 seconds left, KD like, ball. And Kyrie, dribble, shot. I'm looking at this game like, hold on now. The 2 most pivotal possessions in the game ended, so you ain't got to go to OT. The best player on the team doesn't get the ball. That's Kevin Durant. And there is absolutely no ball movement. We can excuse the last possession, if you will. 5 seconds left, a little bit of scramble, a little bit of chaos. But the second to last possession can't excuse. The last reason I'm going to say second lap I got issue with it is this. Kyrie, you're an incredibly talented player. One of the most talented players in the league. You're the 3rd best player on your team. So why, after 2 weeks of an absence, being the 3rd best player on your team, are you taking the most shots on your team? See, Kevin Durant has an NBA MVP award. James Harden has an NBA MVP award. So how you out shooting KD in your first game back? And how are you taking twice as many shots as Harden in your first game back? And also, I don't like reading too much into things, Slick, but I know you do, so I'm going to do it for this second. I'm going to ride with you, Slick. I don't know if y'all saw the post-game presser. Who was the only player smiling after that loss? It wasn't KD. It wasn't Harden. It was Kyrie. Kyrie smiling after y'all lost because Kyrie got his sale. He got his buckets. KD done already got his in his career. He's trying to win. And James Harden is like, I only took 14 shots and I've been balling. I'm going to make a small issue out of it because eventually that molehill is going to become a mountain. You watch.
Do you?
Acho, there's another element that you pointed up here that I was going to bring up, but you added a piece to it, which is it's not just about the big 3. The shot selection at the end of the game and where they were going also points the spotlight on the coaching staff and what they were and how they were informing this team. The other element was that those big 3 played the last 18 minutes without a break. They were on the floor for 18 consecutive minutes. That points up that this is all new to Steve Nash, and that he may be leaning too hard on Mike D'Antoni's methodology when it comes to riding his stars and not worrying about minutes. Like Kyrie was just coming back from this layoff. It's early in the season, and you're playing those guys that many consecutive minutes, and they looked gassed at the end. I don't know they would have made a difference with their defense. So that's another element here that we have to consider that makes this something, is that this game pointed up that Steve Nash is new to this, and that's going to be an element. And besides, it has to be something, Marcellus. Speak for yourself and that you didn't watch the game. That's the name of the show, right? Because when else would we watch? Look, Acho and I, we're not watching Cavs versus Nets at this point in the season unless it meant something.
Yeah, well, Acho dating them old ladies, so, you know, they tap out early. So Acho watched not only the game, the post-game presser. Boy, I tell you, you better date somebody your age and stay up with you. Watch Lupin or something. That's a good series. All right, here's the thing. You guys going to be on the wrong side of history again because I know my boy Acho. And I remember coming up on this show, what was it, early September in week 1 when I saw the Tampa Bay Bucks play the New Orleans Saints. And Acho had the same exact arguments, but it was in a different sport. It was in football. He's like, they have too many weapons. How are they all going to be happy? The Eagles on that team, how's it going to work? Saints said, smack. Acho said, see, I told you. Confirmation bias. And then week 9, it happens again. Acho said, see, I told you. And I'm like, Acho, they are playing together for a different destination, for a different date than even the Saints. And how did that work out? Y'all gonna be on the wrong side of history again? Okay, do it. Here's the thing. This reminds me of like the Miami Heat Big Three. Y'all remember how they started off in year 1? 8-7. And the sky was falling because LeBron was there at pep rallies and everybody was like, oh my God, y'all are barely over 500. How did that turn out? They went to the finals, then they lost in the finals. But hey, if the Brooklyn Nets lose in the finals, I would still deem this a success. That said, you got to understand, I can't juggle, but I can throw 2 balls in the air, KD and James Harden, and just swap them up in the ball. All right. But add a 3rd ball. It's going to take me a second. I'm like, whoa, the 3rd ball. And then all of a sudden you start to get into the seat. You start to get into a pattern. That's what's happening with this team. And let's not exaggerate how bad they are defensively now. Because, Slick, you are a great basketball analyst. They were horrible before. Now they don't have Jared Allen in terms of a rim protector. Yeah. And guess what? Yeah, they have open roster spots that they could designate for defenders only, exclusively defense. So look at it in totality, man. This thing's going to be just like the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I'm going to be laughing last.